Good morning, everybody, and thank you for standing by. This is the Craig Holiday 90 Days to Excellence conference call program. This is call number 4 in a series. The title and topic of this call is Starting a New Coach Effectively. And without any further delay, this gentleman will be traveling very soon to Las Vegas on September 10th and 11th for the next Summer of Success event with Carl Deichler, MJ Durkin, Larry Zimberg. The boys will be out in Vegas here in the mid-month in just about 10 days, so you make sure you want to get your registrations in for that. Also, on the 24th and 25th of September, he will be with all the guys in Chicago. So don't miss these events. They are phenomenal events. We just actually got back from another game plan event in Bethesda, Maryland, and a shout out to all our friends out in the Washington, D.C. area. Had a fabulous event out there with them. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get the call started with your host, Mr. Craig Holiday. Craig, are you out there?
I'm here, Ed. Thanks so much. Appreciate the introduction and excited to be on another national call with you guys. I just got back from a road trip, 9 days on the road. We blew it up out there. We had some incredibly exciting stuff going on. We back?
You're good.
Okay. Anyway, had an exciting time out there. A lot of you I got a chance to see face-to-face, and I was in Parisburg doing a big meeting, then on to Columbus, Indianapolis, Decatur, and on to Naperville. So we had some great turnouts, some great briefings. We had a lot of new coaches sign up, and there's just a lot of stuff going on all over the country. So again, I enjoyed being out there in the field with all you guys and that travel. Came home, got a few days of sleep because I didn't get much on the road and driving across country, but it was the time of my life. So really enjoyed that. Coming up, I'm going to be in Lincoln, Nebraska too on the 17th and 18th, working with Doug and Tammy, and I'm excited about that and all the leaders there. And then in Bakersfield on the 21st of September, Tuesday night, working with Mike and Kelly Ryan and their team. So wanted to put that out there too. But what I want to talk today about is some of you that were just at my recent trainings that I did across the country. You've heard this, and this will be a repetitive thing for you, but because I taught it, because I believe it's probably one of the most profound things that needs to be done as we move forward in the business. Larry's done an incredible job creating a game plan and getting people started in the business and the getting started interview. And today, I just want to kind of take that a little bit deeper and really talk about getting coaches started. And, one of the things I think we miss out there is we don't get coaches started effectively. And I think part of it is I always talk about owning your own business and owning your own life. And part of it is realizing that any coach you start in this business is part of your business. It's part of the growth and what's going to make you successful. And I think if we look at that, it's, we're in the business together. People are in business for themselves, not by themselves, but yet that person is part of your team. They're part of your success in this business. So we need to look at it that way as we get coaches started, realizing that I believe in this business the first 30 days, if I bring a coach in, I'm responsible for their success. I'm responsible for getting them to Emerald their first month in this business. And so I honestly feel, after being out there and talking to a lot of you guys, that I think if you engage and understand that if the first 30 days your personally sponsored coach wants to build a business and is actively in the creative stages of the business, that if they don't go Emerald their first 30 days, it's your fault, not theirs. And I want us all to take responsibility for that, because I really believe when we think in that process, it's going to help us get people started effectively. But let me give you a couple visuals today, if I can. I think a lot of the way people have been getting coaches started in this business for the last couple of years is, let's say I'm standing at the end of a road, and there's a lake at the end of that road, and somebody comes up to me and says to me, "Hey, how do I get to that lake?" Well, what's happened a lot, as I've seen as I travel around the country and talk to coaches of how they're starting coaches, they stand at the end of the road and direct them to the lake. It's like a GPS system. Turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right, you'll be to the lake. What we need to do as coaches, if you can take this visual, is we need to engage to where we walk them to the lake. We put our arm around them and start walking with them. We don't just tell them how to get there. We're not in the business as coaches to give directions. We're in the business as coaches to model of how to build this business. And I think if some of us can start thinking more in terms of, and I'll talk in a few minutes about, as I get a coach started, I want to know, do they want to run to the lake? They want to jog to the lake? They want to sprint to the lake? They want to walk to the lake? Any way they want to get there, I'm going to get them there at that pace. But I also realize that it's going to take me starting to walk alongside of them or walk with them. There's a great illustration as you watch, if you've ever watched the Special Olympics and you watch the sprinting for the blind children, their coach stands about, I'd say 1.5 feet in front of them with his back to where they're running forward, and he starts sprinting backwards, screaming their name and calling out their name and encouraging them and calling out their name and encouraging them. And if you've ever seen that on TV, it's a fascinating thing. And they go by the tone of the voice. They go by the person that's encouraging them. That's because they can't see where they're going. They stay straight ahead because of that coach. That's a lot of what we need to be in this business. So as we're getting them to the lake, it's not a matter of us standing back like the Special Olympics and telling them how to get to the finish line. It's getting in there with them and getting them to the finish line. So I think that's a great visual for us if we can start thinking about, hey, I'm going to take them to the lake, but I'm not going to give them directions to get there. I'm going to model how to get there. The second part of it I want to think as a visual is those of you out there that have children that have taught them to ride a bike. We didn't grab our children, take their training wheels off, and put them on the bike and give them a big push and tell them to go ride their bike. For most of us, we took the training wheels off. There was that kind of scared look on their face. You sure I can do this? Are you positive I'm going to be able to do this? And those big eyes looking up at you, and they don't have much belief because they've never done it before. They're scared. They know they can fall over. I think that's a lot of the way our coaches get in this business. They've never been in this kind of business. They don't know much about this kind of business, so they have these big old eyes, and they're looking at you with this face like, are you sure I'm going to get there? Can you help me? And so many times we in the past, some of us have started coaches by grabbing the back of the bike and giving them a heave and hoping they get to the finish line. But if you look at the way we all teach our kids to ride, we put our hands around their waist, we run a little bit with them, then we release them. And as they start to lose balance, we grab them again. And we run a little bit further, then we release them. And as they start to lose balance, we grab them again. And that's really the first 30 to 60 days in this business. That's what I want to be to a coach. I want to be that person that's running alongside with my hands around their waist, releasing them and seeing how they do, and then coming back. And that's accountability and some other things we'll talk about in a few minutes. And then eventually what happens is you release your hands and that kid takes off riding, and I always kid and say they don't come back for 18 years when they need more money. But the funny thing is if you can visualize that, that's how we need to start coaches in this business. We need to start them to where we're alongside of them. We're running alongside, we're getting them back balanced, we're helping their belief grow, we're giving them the visual that they can build this business, because you all know and I know that many people get in this business not believing it'll work. And it's not even that they don't believe they can do it. A lot of their friends have told them it doesn't work because, quote, network marketing never works. Now, we all know that isn't true. This business is on an astronomical growth right now. But for a lot of people, they come in with that doubt, and they look to us to model. They look to us to be the models of the people that do believe in it. So they're going to hold on to our belief. Like, my son looking up at me when I taught him to ride a bike with those eyes like, Dad, I believe in you, but I don't know if I believe in riding this bike. And that's a lot of what you're going to get from your coaches as you get started. So with those two illustrations in mind, let me tell you, if I'm going to start a new coach, brand new, if I sponsor somebody today, my first thing I want to do with them is I'm going to set up a time for us to sit down at their local for an hour and a half, undivided attention, nobody around, in a room, my office, their office, somewhere where nobody's around. Because I want to put a priority on this interview. Larry talks about the new coach interview. That's kind of what we're doing. I'm going to talk a little bit, add some things into it along with what he's taught, but at the same time, what we're doing is we need to make sure they understand this is serious business. This is a business we're starting. None of you would hire someone or start a business without some undivided time face-to-face so we can find out what this person wants, where they want to go. If you're interviewing someone for a job, you sit down with them, you look at their resume, you get to know them, and you start to figure out, here's my responsibility, here's your responsibility, before they even come aboard. And in our coaching, we have to do the same thing. We can't just sign people up in this business. Now, it's one thing if people just want to be a customer and they want to get coach discount, and so therefore they become a coach and they don't really have a dream or a goal. But I'm not going to assume that until I ask them. Just because somebody signs up and they don't seem to want to build a business, I'm going to try to see if I can at least sit down with them and find out what they want and when they want to get there. And a lot of times you're going to find those that do want to engage, and they're looking for you to lead. That's an important part. Everybody wants to be led. And people get in this business, 95% of the people in America work for someone else. They don't work for themselves. 5% work for themselves. We sponsor someone in our business. We sign up a coach, and we expect them to know what to do. And they don't know what to do. And so we need to be willing to tell them what to do. And for a lot of us, we feel, I don't want to be too pushy. Let me tell you, most of the coaches I meet out there, you're so far beyond or so far removed from being pushy. Most of us need to get up to being a little more pushy, or at least a little more taking charge of their businesses. So first of all, I'm going to tell them if they're local, I want an hour and a half of your time for you and I. If they're a distance group, I want an hour and a half on the phone with you of undivided attention, no kids running around, and I need to talk seriously about the business. Okay, because what I want to do right up front when I start a new coach is my first question to them is this: what do you want and when do you want it? That's my very first question. What do you want and when do you want it? because I need to know what it is they want from this business. If somebody says to me, I want to make $5,000 a month in the next 12 months, then I know when I'm going to the lake with them, I know what kind of speed we need to get there. I know what kind of goals to set for them. I know what kind of intensity it's going to take to make that kind of income in 12 months. If somebody says, I want to make $100 a month in the next 10 years, obviously their starting point will be entirely different. But I'm not going to assume that I know what they want. I'm going to ask them what they want. So let's assume I ask somebody and we sit down together. We're it's undivided attention. We're sitting at a desk at their house or wherever. And my first question is, what do you want? When do you want it? And they tell me I want to make $5,000 a month in the next 12 months. My next step I'm going to do with them is I'm going to set up an agreement with us. We're going to have a contract together. Now, they're not going to sign anything. This isn't written in blood. This isn't any legal document. But I want to know I'm going to tell them what I expect from them. Because if I'm going to work with them, now in a lot of this you guys that you're hearing today is posturing. I want to posture leadership. I want to posture a strong leader. And so I know that if we set up expectations of what my expectations are of them, and then tell them what their expectations can be of me, we have a contract in the beginning. So many times people get in this business, they start coaches, and they don't even know, that coach doesn't even know what to expect from their coach. They don't know what kind of help they're going to get. And a lot of you that start coaches, you don't know what to expect from them. What kind of commitment are they making? Are they willing to make one? So I think with some of the things I'm going to share with you today as you take notes is if I tell them, here's what I'm going to expect from you the first 30 days in this business, the first 60 days, in fact, the time we're in the business together. And you tell me if these are going to work for you. Because if I don't want to have false expectations about what you want. Because, I ask coaches sometimes, I say, well, tell me about some of your coaches they do. I say, well, what do they want from the business? And they say, well, I'm not really sure. Well, what are they doing? I'm not really sure. And I'm going, are you kidding me? This is your business. If I start a new coach, I'm going to know the answers to those questions. What do they want? When do they want it? I want to know what they're doing. And again, as we go through this talk today, you'll see how I create that accountability as we move forward. So my first question to them is this: is your word good? Will you be accountable? So again, I'm going to ask them I'm going to tell them what I expect from them. So question number one, is your word good, and are you going to be accountable? In other words, can I count on what you say? If you say you're going to do something, will you do it? Because in this business, I can't fire you, right? I can't get rid of you. I can't give you a pink slip. So therefore, the only thing we have working together forward is our word. And a lot of people get excited about that because, it's so, like if you've ever bought a house recently, there's 500 or 5,000 pages you have to sign of documents, legal documents. I got to believe years ago when somebody bought a house, it was a handshake and they bought a house and it was over. And so with our coaches, we don't need some written document, but I do need to know up front what they're looking for and what they want. So I say, is your word good, and are you going to be accountable? And let's say their answer is yes, I will. My next question is this: how many hours a week can you find in this business to make $50,000 more a year? All right, I ask it that way because I'm not going to say how many hours a week can you find to build this business because, they're thinking, oh, I'm really busy. I got all this stuff going on. Now, later, I'm going to work on their calendar and teach them to use their calendar effectively. So that's not going to be an issue. But in the beginning, it is. So I say, how many hours a week can you find to make $50,000 a year? Person says, well, I could probably find 10 to 12 hours a week. So I write that down on my paper. So I know they want to be accountable, and they're going to put in 10 to 12 hours a week in this business. That's going to tell me how I can help them. That's going to tell me how to set up their plan. What are they going to do? What are they going to do on a daily basis? If we only have 10 to 12 hours in a week, I'm going to help them design their calendar to work those 10 to 12 hours effectively. Next question I asked, are you willing to get on a personal growth program? Because no matter what you've done and what business you've been successful in, this business is different. You're going to need to grow personally because you're going to find things that come up. It's like a guy asked me at a meeting recently, he said, what's going to be my biggest obstacle in this business? And my answer was the person in your chair, which is true because our growth personally is the biggest attribute in this business. I finished up my Rhino calls this week, and we had an open dialogue last night, and one of the things that people were discussing on that call was personal growth, how much they had grown in the last 6 months personally. And for a lot of them, their businesses had grown substantially, but their personal growth ended up being what they felt was the biggest strength that they had. Because I always say, you don't get 1,000 people in your business and then be able to lead 1,000 people. You become the leader of 1,000 people, and you have 1,000 people in your group. And so I want them to be aware that it's going to take change for them. And I'm going to say, I'm going to be changing along with you. I'm going to be working with you on that change. Because really what I'm setting up with them as a coach is a mentorship program. Now, here's a key when you use the word coach. Those of you out there that have played at sports and been involved in athletics, you don't have a coach show up on the field and the players say, what are we going to do today, coach? And he goes, I don't really know. Whatever you guys want. Think we ought to do this, coach? Yeah, go do that. That isn't the way people coach. But in this business, we tend to want to be that way, is we want to just kind of let them figure it out for themselves because we don't want to be offensive. Well, if you sponsor me in the business, coach me. Tell me you're going to coach me. Tell me what I need to do. I go as far as, if I was starting a new coach, I would go as far as almost saying to them, your first month in the business, I'm going to treat you like you're an employee of mine. Now, that might sound negative to you, but it's not, because then I'm willing to tell them what to do. Right now, they don't have to do it if they don't want, but I don't want to be the one who doesn't give them the information and have them resent me. I'd rather be the one that gives them what they need and let them do the grocery shopping thing. I need that. I can use that. I'm not ready for that. But I still want to be a leader that gives that to them. So I asked them, are you willing to change? All right, the next question I asked them is real simple. Are you willing to do what I teach you to do? Because if you'll do what I teach you to do without asking questions, I promise you, you're going to grow in this business. There's no question in my mind. If you will do what I teach you to do, one of the things I tell people in the business as I'm out in the field is the best thing you could say to your upline coach is, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And the other thing is for you is to never do anything for the first time without checking upline. You say, what does that mean? Well, that just gives you the opportunity to use the mentorship and the upline and the experience and the counsel of people that are above you. Because I guarantee you, if you've thought of a new creative idea to do in Beachbody, there's a good chance somebody's already thought of it. And maybe it didn't work. Well, there's wisdom in the counsel of many. That's going to save you that time and effort having to do it. But maybe they haven't, and it's a great new idea. And so I'm going to ask them if they're willing to do what I tell them to do. The next question I ask them is, are you willing to not bicker with the price? Right? What do you mean? It's going to take time to build this business. You're not going to build it overnight. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Right? You can't work for 30 days and expect to make a lot of money in this business. Most people work for 5 years in a business, and you know that 80% of businesses in America fail the first year? And most people that start a business don't expect return for 5 years. So all they need to do is just understand it's going to take some time to build this business, and it's going to take a price to build this business. Life is not going to stop for you to be able to go out and build your Beachbody business. All the frustrations, all the challenges, challenges with your kids, challenges with a spouse, challenges with bills, that's not going to change. What we need to do is have enough character to do it anyway. So I ask them, will you not bicker with the price? Right? My last point with them is, my question to them is, will you put me in front of 4 to 5 people? Will you put me in front of 4 to 5 of your closest friends so I can bring them in this business for you? And I want that commitment from them, because that's my first goal, is I want to get the business in front of 4 to 5 of their best prospects, right? And I'm not going to have them do it. I'm going to do it for them, whether it's on a 3-way call, okay, because they're a distance group, whether it's sitting down at a Starbucks locally, whatever it is, I want to get in front of 4 to 5 of their people. Because my goal the first 30 days is that coach will be an emerald their first, hopefully, week in the business. Because I know if I can get in front of 4 to 5 of their people, I'm going to be able to sponsor 2 of them. That gives them an emeraldship immediately, which starts to give them customers after they do everything else they need to do. So my goal the first 30 days for any coach I bring in is to help them go emerald and break 2 emeralds underneath them. And I'm going to do that because that first 30 days, I'm doing it for them, right? I'm doing it with them, but I'm doing it for them. All right, so now that I tell them what I expect from them and we agree, now let me tell you what you can expect from me. As your coach, here's what you can expect, my time. I'm going to give you my time. I want you to go emerald your first month in this business. I will give you the time it takes to do that. Whatever time it takes, I'm going to do that for you. As long as you're willing, as long as you want to get to the lake, as long as you want to jog, run, spread, or walk, I don't care. But I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to give you my knowledge. And some of you today will go, I've only been in the business a month longer than my coach that I just sponsored, but you have a month more of knowledge than they do. So you can make that statement, I'm going to give you my knowledge, or I'm going to give you the information of where you can get that knowledge. Number 3 is I'm going to mentor you. I'm going to be the one. You can count on me the first 30, 60, 90 days to get you to diamond, and after that too. But I'm going to do it in this business. We do it for them, then we do it with them, right? And then what do? We counsel them. If you take some of the bigger leaders in this organization, Tracy Morrill, Fitz, Hudge, Milan, some of these bigger leaders in this business, they do a lot of counseling of their leaders because they have huge organizations. But for most of us, we're in the stage where we're still doing it for our new people, and then we're doing it along with our new people. So I'm going to talk to them about mentoring. All right, and then I tell them this, my word's good to you. You can count on that. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I want them to know they can count on me as their coach. In other words, if I tell you I'm going to be somewhere and I don't show up, check the obituary because I'm probably dead because I'm that committed to being where I need to be to help you build your business. All right. My next point is I'm going to be honest with you about your life, about who you are, about where you need to change, about what you need to do in your business. I'm not going to pull punches with you, and I hope you appreciate that. Because I want to be a strong leader to you. I'm not going to worry about whether you like me so much in the beginning as whether you respect me a lot. Because liking me isn't going to make you successful. learning what I have to say and doing it will make you extremely successful. So I have a good enough self-esteem that I don't need you to like me, but I am committed to your success. And if leaders understand that, they're willing to say the tough things to people. Sometimes if I'm in that situation with a coach, if I personally sponsored a coach, I would use this statement. I would say, I'm going to risk unpopularity with you right now by telling you something about your life. Or I'll say something like, I can answer that question two ways. I can answer it, one, the way that's going to make you feel the best, or number two, I can answer it with the truth. What would you rather have? And if we deal with that with our people, all of a sudden we are looked at as leaders, and we teach them to be strong with their group. Because remember, weak leaders develop weak leaders. Strong leaders develop strong leaders. Weak coaches, weak coaches. Strong coaches, strong coaches. All right? So my next point is, I'm willing to get two people sponsored for you personally and get 2 emerald chips in your business your first month. I'm going to commit to doing that. I will take my time, my effort, whatever it takes. You just have to be willing to put me in front of the people. Whether I'm on a conference call, a 3-way call, however you do it, I need to be in front of those people so I can get your business to where it needs to be the first 30 days. And then I tell them, real honestly, if you stop running, if you tell me you want to run and you don't want to run anymore, you want to walk, just be honest with me and tell me, because I don't want to create accountability with you and have you calling you weekly and checking on our accountability calls and have you not doing what you say you're going to do. So if anything changes, will you be honest with me? All right, because I want you to know I can only work with the willing people. Like Larry says, work with the willing, right? I can only work with the willing, right? And so the people in my business that are willing are going to get my time. All right, so now that I had that conversation, what have we done? We've talked about how to get them to the lake, right? We've talked about, what we're doing really is we're putting them on the bike and we're teaching them to ride the bike. We're not just throwing them on a bike and throwing them down the road. All right, now, so let's say that's on a Friday. Let's say we've sat down, we've had our meeting on a Friday. 1 week later, I'm going to set up some accountability things that they're going to do. We're going to do some of them this night, and some of them they're going to do on their own. Because if you don't create immediate accountability with the people you work with as coaches, you never know what they're doing. So in other words, they have expectations of what you expect from them. And that's fair. If I'm going to work with you, then I'm going to have expectations of you. I want you to. It's like with your kids. If you have no expectations of them, then anything's good. But if you set a standard high, so I want to immediately set up the expectations. But what I'm going to do while I'm still in this 1.5-hour meeting is I'm going to make a list of names with that person, right? I'm going to make the list of names with them. I'm not going to say, hey, go home, put 100 people on a list. They will go home, start a list, and never finish it. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to work with what we have in the game plan where it talks about, where'd you get your real estate? Who'd you buy your real estate from? Who's a law enforcement person? Who's a fireman? Whatever we need to do is we're going to get 100 names on that list. All right, that's the first thing we're going to do right off the bat. Boom, let's go. We'll sit down with them, and I'm going to work through that list until I have 100 names on it. Every one of you on this call knows 1,000 people on a first name basis. All of us do. So, but if you say to someone, go put 100 names on a list, why won't that list get 100 names? Because they prejudge people. If I'm working with them, I'm going to massage them, I'm going to work with them, I'm going to mold them, I'm going to work that list till we have 100 names on it. Now, what have you got? You've got effectively this person confident that they now have 100 people to show this business to. If they can only come up with 25 names because you haven't helped them come up with 100, they start to get scared right off the bat. What if I show all 25 and nobody gets involved? All right, so I'm going to make a list with them. Second one, I'm going to set up a time for me to do the presentation with their people. Right now, hopefully I can do it in a one-on-one situation. At Starbucks where 3 or 4 of the people come, they sit down with me. I just say if it's Ed, I go, Ed, look, don't say a word, just introduce me and watch what I do. He gets to watch me do the presentation. He gets to watch me in how I answer the questions, and I handle all the objections. All he does is sit and watch and learn how to do the business. So we're going to set up that time. So I'm going to pull out my calendar. He's going to pull out his, and we're going to set up the time for us to go and sit down and meet with someone. Right, so that we can start getting this business in front of people. The next thing I'm going to do is schedule his home party, right? But I'm going to put it out about 8 to 10 days. And the reason being is because I want to work these people that he's given me names of, that we've shown the business to over the next 10 days, I want to get out and get the business in front of them. However we have to do that. Because when I do the home party, the home briefing, I know that there's going to be people there. Because if I'm getting the business in front of people, I'm going to invite them. We're going to get some of the people that have said yes, some of the people that have said not really sure, and we're going to have an effective home briefing. And one of the things that happens with a lot is we tell someone, hey, why don't I come over next Saturday at 4 and we'll do a home briefing. And these people call 2 or 3 people, you get there and no one's there. And you know what? That's your fault. because I want to help them make the calls. I'm going to help them through it. I'm going to help them answer questions. I'm going to make sure that there are a lot of people at that home briefing. The other thing I'll do is if it's a local group, I'll invite other legs of mine to come, other coaches that I've sponsored to bring people. So we have a really dynamic home briefing. And so but again, I'm going to take responsibility for it. I'm not going to just say get people over to your house and see if he can get anybody there. Right? Because that's like taking your hands off on the bike and letting them crash and just leaving them there. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to work that with them. All right, my next point to tell them is you're going to order Shakeology and get on direct ship. And I said you need to do that for two reasons. Number one is you don't have enough energy to keep up with me to build your business for the next 30 days. You need to get on Shakeology because that's what I'm on, right? But number two is I said I don't want to be in a situation at your home briefing or at your meeting with your 3 or 4 or 5 people I'm going to sit down with. I don't want to be in a situation where they ask you if you're using the product and you say, no, I'm not, because that kills credibility for both of us. So if you're serious about this business, I can't even imagine going and showing this business to somebody else and telling them you're excited about it and not be on the Shakeology product. It's not even an option for these people because success isn't an option. Okay, so if you want success as an option, it's not like, well, geez, success is optional. No, it's not, and neither is getting on Shakeology. It's a must because it gives us credibility about what we're doing in this business, a product of the product. And so, and again, I can't lynch them and make them get on direct ship and Shakeology, but I'm going to promise you right now, they're going to know the importance of it to me if I'm going to put this in front of their people. Because I told them the minute you say you're not on it, everyone who signs up in your business has permission to not be on the product. Nobody on the product, you don't make any money. Okay, so it's a real simple thing. So I'm very strong about that. And I know for some of you are thinking, I don't know if I could say that. Well, then don't. But I'm telling you, if you want to be a leader, they need to know what to do. They're new in the business. They want to ride the bike. Teach them how to ride the bike, right? Okay. The next thing I do is the first book I would give to my coach is Personality Plus by Florence Littauer. A bunch of you on my Rhino team have read that book. And why do I recommend that book? It's real simple because that book has a test in it where you can see what the social style is of this person. And once you understand what their social style is, I know how to motivate them. I know how to encourage them. I know if it's a choleric personality, I can challenge them. I know if it's a phlegmatic personality, I can't. They need to get encouragement, tons of encouragement. If I don't know that about them, then I'm not going to even know exactly how to motivate them and encourage them. So their first week assignment, and all of these things are the things we're going to do the first week in the business. Their first week assignment is they're going to order that book, and they're going to read the first 2 chapters by next Friday when we get together at our next appointment, right, together to set up and look at the business. The next thing I tell them is you need to spend time in your back office, getting to know that over the next week. Just kind of go back there. You don't need to spend a lot of time on it, but I want you to get it all set up and do whatever you need to do to get that thing in place and start to understand what's back there. All right, then I tell them, I want to hear from you. You need to text me every day, email me with questions. I don't want to leave you alone. I want to teach you to ride the bike, right? So if I'm not available by phone, I'll answer the questions you have. But feel free to get those questions to me over the next week. Next point is I said you need to pick up a calendar, and not just some random calendar, Blackberry, iPhone. No, I want a hard copy calendar that you can open up, and next time we meet together, I'm going to teach you how to effectively use that calendar. And that's one of the things, those of you on my call last week, I talked about that, is how to divide your time and put it out there. If he tells me he has 10 to 12 hours a week, I'm going to show him how to be most effective in those hours. So I want him to pick up a calendar and have it by the time we meet next Friday. Right? I want him to clearly write down their dreams and send them to me. Also, on the Florence Littauer test, I want to see a copy of the test so I know what their social style is. But I want them to write down their dreams and send them to me. I want to know your why, and I want that sent to me because I would keep a file on all my coaches of their why and their personality tests and all that, so I can always go to it and refer to what they're about, especially as your business starts to grow. Point number 11, I tell them you need to order 10 Decide DVDs, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 10. And let me tell you why. Because I don't want to be out doing the business this week with you, showing this presentation to 3 or 4 of your friends, and I say, you know what, Ed, can you go grab those 4 DVDs so I can give those out right now? And you say to me, well, I only got 2. Because, again, that's wasting my time and your time. We need to have the tools in this business. If you're going to start a construction company like I own, you needed tools. Decide DVDs are your tools in this business. You need to have as many of them as possible if you're actively building a business. So don't sell us short by not getting them. So you're going to order 10 of those Decide DVDs. All right, so that's your assignment for this week. So let me go through it again. We're going to make a list together. We're going to set up a time to get together with your friends to present this business. We're going to schedule a home party a week out. I'm going to help you make sure it's a successful home briefing. We're going to order Shakeology direct ship. We're going to read the Florence Littauer's book, first 2 chapters by next Friday, Right? We're going to know your back office. We're going to start to learn your back office. We're going to have you. You're going to text me questions so I can know what's going on, what questions you have. We're going to get your calendar this week, and I'm going to teach you how to use it next time we get together. You're going to write down your dreams and send them to me, and you're going to order 10 Decide DVDs. Okay, so that's your assignment. That's your assignment for between now and the time I see you next. Now, what have you given all these assignments for? Number one, you want them to do them. Number two, they're going to tell you something. If I get together with Ed next Friday and he hasn't done any of the stuff that I gave him assignment-wise, or that he hasn't engaged in the business, he's saying something to me, and I have to deal with that. So many people I would say, how many coaches you got? I got 15. What are they doing? Not really sure. If I build my business this way and start my coaches this way, I know what they're doing. I don't have to try to figure it out because I'm in contact with them. First week, second week, every other day. I mean, I need to really get them and put my hands around their waist and start running them down the road so they can learn how to ride a bike. And so many of us need to re-switch our thinking. We can't just sign people up. Now, I know there's those with a DNA that, man, if you did nothing for them, they're going to figure it out. But that's not what coaching's about. Why do you think that Carl gave the term coaching to us as coaches in this business? Because a coach takes charge. A coach takes responsibility for winning. A coach doesn't just take its players, put them out in the field and throw a ball out there and say, good luck, I hope you win. I coached a lot of baseball growing up with my kids. I taught them how to bunt, how to do hit and run, and how to read signs, and how to, all the different things it took. I didn't just throw a ball in the baseball field and say, hey, good luck hitting, good luck fielding. We have to do that as coaches. We have to take charge of our people. That's your business. That's your success. If you break a diamond in 90 days that you helped go diamond, and you're a diamond, you're a one-star diamond. If you do it with another team, you're a two-star diamond. Right? So we need to take responsibility for our coaches and quit just throwing them out there and thinking they're going to be able to go out and just succeed on their own. All right. Let me kind of start to close by talking about the next thing. I want to talk about coaches you have in the business that have already been in a while and aren't doing anything. They haven't done anything. You've kind of lost touch with some of them. They're still on Shakeology, they're still on product, but they just haven't. You just know they haven't been doing much. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to take a list of those people and you're going to call every one of them up. And here's what you're going to say. You're going to call them up, and let's say it's Ed. I call Ed. Ed, this is Craig. How you doing? Hey, good, Craig. Good to hear from you. Listen, I need to apologize to you. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I need to ask your forgiveness. Ed, I don't feel like I ever gave you a fair shot at building this Beachbody business. I never feel like I gave you the fair advantage to really start this business. Some of the things I've learned over the last few months, and I was listening to this call the other day, and I've heard some of this training that's going on now. I realized that I dropped the ball with you. I didn't teach you to ride a bike. I threw you on a bike and threw you down the road. So I want to apologize to you, first of all. And then second of all, I want to ask you to do me a big favor. Let me get rid of some guilt by sitting down with you for 45 minutes to an hour, or if it's a distance group, on the phone for an hour. I need to re-engage you on some of the things we're doing right now in this business. First of all, the company's absolutely exploding. We've got 30,000 coaches now. We have a training system going on all over the country. We have tools we've never had before. We have trainers coming in and teaching us. Plus, the company is ballistically growing with the infomercials and where we're going. It's just not the same business it was, Ed, when I talked to you 6 months ago. And I got to believe, Ed, that 6 months ago you had a dream and a goal and a reason to build this Beachbody business. And for some reason that didn't happen. But you know what? I'm going to take some of that responsibility from you. But if you'll just give me an hour and a half of your time, I believe I can re-engage with you and I can show you what we're doing and I can help you realize that we need to launch this business again for you. Now, let me tell you when you do that. Some of these people aren't going to do anything with it. They're going to say, no, that's okay. I'm really not interested. But, I had a gentleman talking to me recently. He did this after he heard this call on a Rhino call. He did it with 10 of his coaches. 8 of them re-engaged in the business. He got them started exactly like I talked about today. And out of those 8, 4 of them went Emerald their first month. And so I believe that if you'll go back, because realize this too, the people that have been on the fence that haven't been doing anything for a long time, trust me, a lot of them, their life hasn't changed. They got in this business wanting dreams and goals, and because they weren't happy with where they are in life, and I guarantee you if it was a year ago, they're a year later and a year just as less happy as they were in the first place. So you're just re-giving them a chance. And see, what we do by saying it's my fault, it's my responsibility, I didn't do a good job, what we do by saying that is we take all the burden off of them. They don't have to feel guilty. They don't have to feel like losers that they didn't do anything. And now they're willing to go back and maybe listen to it a second time and listen to the story again. And so, if you'll do that with your coaches, I've heard great testimonies as I've traveled around after we did this on some of the Rhino calls of how many people have been able to re-engage and reignite some of those coaches. Because as you look at it and you look back, probably most of you on this call got started without not like we talked about today. You got started by someone getting in the business, signing you up, telling you, go to the back office, here's training, here's this, here's that, and yet you never saw them again, or you never spent much time with them again. That's not coaching, you guys. That's not coaching at all. So what I want to encourage you all to do is to really sit down today and reevaluate some of the coaches you've started in this business, and go back and reignite some of those people. But more than that, when you sign up moving forward, new coaches, get yourself an expectation meeting with them. Get them that first coach interview. But during that time, tell them what you expect from them. Tell them what they can expect from you. Talk about how fast they want to get to the lake, and jump on the road and get them to the lake. Because that's really what this business is about when you think about it. It's much more than just signing people up and getting them on a product, and then just hoping they're going to make it. That's not going to create success for you, and it's not going to create success for them. Because remember, people are looking for strong leaders. They want to be led by the best. They want to be led by those with posture and strength, and those who are willing to tell them what to do, and then hold them accountable for doing it. So if you're sitting here today and you look at this kind of talk we've had, and you think, gosh, I think I've been kind of a wimpy coach. I haven't been willing to engage and tell them what they need to do. Your business is based on this. Where your business is in the next 90 days will be based on the way you start your coaches from this way forward, and the way you go back and ignite and re-engage with some of the coaches you have, and that you're going to give them a chance to learn to ride a bike, and not just all of a sudden figure out, once I crash, I stay down. And so decide where it is, how fast they want to get to the lake. And then once you do, jump on the road with them. If they want to sprint, then sprint with them. If they want to run, then run with them. If they want to jog, then jog with them. If they want to walk, I'll walk with them. But I just know they want to get to the lake and when they want to get there. So hopefully this has been helpful to a lot of you today. It's been an exciting time being out with you around the country. This is some of the kind of things we're going to be teaching, and hopefully you can utilize this and go out and, from this day forward, go out and set new goals, new heights, new dreams, new things you want to accomplish in this business. And hopefully a lot of you on this call will be in Dallas with us in the big leadership on the 16th and 17th coming up. It's going to be a blast, a lot of fun, a lot of great teaching. Diamond with 1 month of Success Club is just what it takes to get there. So we look forward to seeing you, some of you out there. Look forward to seeing a bunch of you in Vegas next weekend when we rip it up at Summer Success. So thanks a lot, you guys. Have an awesome day.